Laudetur Jesus Christus. Praised be Jesus Christ. And a most warm welcome to all of you joining us on this Wednesday morning here in Rome. We're coming to you live from St. Damasus Square, which is a courtyard inside the Apostolic Palace. Our Holy Father, prior to beginning his general audience this morning, taking his time to greet all of the pilgrims. Look at all of these images being captured. Our Holy Father has been taking his time talking with different people who are here. I saw him giving advice to a couple, enumerating 3 things on his hands. As we know, his advice to couples that he's given very, very often, to be able to say, I'm sorry, I love you. And there's one other, I'm sorry, I don't remember. If it comes to me, I'll definitely clue you in. We've seen many flags here representing the areas of the world where these people are from. Now a woman offering him something homemade, something looks like a type of dessert or something like that. Everyone here with masks on. And as soon as the audience starts, they'll be in chairs that are socially distanced. As I said, a warm welcome to all of you joining us this morning. I hope you're feeling the energy that's being transmitted by this crowd. Our Holy Father now stopping to sign something. And on behalf of Vatican Media, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you joining us through the various radio, television stations, or internet sites. Many of you joining us through the various Vatican Media channels, through the Vatican News web portal, our YouTube channel, our Facebook Live feed, the Vatican News Live Events app, or the Radio Vaticana Vatican Radio app. Many of you joining us through television, having the opportunity of viewing this weekly event. Some of you joining through Catholic Faith Network, others through Shalom World TV. We have Salt and Light TV viewers joining us today. Welcome to you as well. Many others joining us through EWTN. Others through Catholic TV. And others through Madarshan TV. And some joining through radio. I hope to be able to convey the images that we're seeing to you. We welcome those of you joining us through Luminous Radio and through Radio Maria in Papua New Guinea. Many others are joining us through other local radio stations broadcasting this throughout the world, and of course other internet sites. Let's take this time. We can place ourselves consciously knowing that thousands and thousands of us are united right now. We will be hearing the words of our Holy Father in his general catechesis. We are currently in a series called Healing the World. This is the 8th in the series. The particular aspect of healing the world we'll be looking at today with our Holy Father is subsidiarity and the virtue of hope. Our Holy Father continuing to greet the crowds on his way to the podium where he will be delivering the Catechesis this morning. Many of you who are joining us through radio or television or internet may have had an opportunity when you visited Rome to be a part of the general audience. It's a beautiful moment to feel the universality of the world and to participate in this special moment with the Holy Father as he teaches his flock on various themes. And coming up on Sunday, we're celebrating the 106th World Day of Migrants and Refugees. And the theme this year is like Jesus Christ, forced to flee. Welcoming, protecting, promoting, and integrating internally displaced persons. These are people who are forced to flee their homes but remain in their own countries. The special theme for the 106th World Day of Migrants, which also captures the 4 verbs that our Holy Father has consistently used in explaining how we as Christians are called to interact, to provide help to migrants and refugees, and that is to welcome them, to protect them, to promote them, and to integrate them. Our Holy Father now greeting the bishops who are here today, and now moving over toward the prelates who will be helping our Holy Father in providing the translations for today's audience. All of these prelates work in the Secretariat of State. I encourage you, if you haven't already, to visit the Vatican News or the Vatican website and find the message of Pope Francis for this World Day of Migrants and Refugees. And in this way, we become partners with the Holy Father in addressing this very real and urgent reality of our day. You and I never know when we ourselves may be a refugee or a migrant. Our Holy Father now at his seat. The Holy Father now will begin the general audience, introducing it with the sign of the cross and the liturgical greeting. Let us dispose ourselves to welcome his word and receive his benediction.
In the name of the Father, del Figlio e dello Spirito Santo. La pace sia con voi.
We will now hear the word of the Lord from the first letter of Paul to the Corinthians in the various languages.
Il corpo non è formato da un membro solo, ma da molte membra. Non può l'occhio dire alla mano non ho bisogno di te, oppure la testa ai piedi non ho bisogno di voi. Anzi, proprio le membra del corpo che sembrano più deboli sono le più necessarie. Dio ha disposto il corpo conferendo maggiore onore a ciò che non ne ha, perché nel corpo non vi sia divisione, ma anzi le varie membra abbiano cura le une delle altre. Parola di Dio.
We've heard the reading from the first letter of Paul to the Corinthians in Italian. We will now hear it in French, followed by English.
De la première lettre de Saint Paul aux Corinthiens. Le corps humain se compose non pas d'un seul, mais de plusieurs membres. L'œil ne peut pas dire à la main « Je n'ai pas besoin de toi ». La tête ne peut pas dire aux pieds « Je n'ai pas besoin de vous ». Bien plus, les parties du corps qui paraissent les plus délicates sont indispensables. Mais en organisant le corps, Dieu a accordé plus d'honneur à ce qui en est dépourvu. Il a voulu ainsi qu'il n'y ait pas de division dans le corps, mais que les différents membres aient tous le souci les uns des autres. Parole du Seigneur.
A reading from the first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. The body does not consist of one member, but of many. The eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. On the contrary, the parts of the body which seem to be weaker are indispensable. God has so composed the body, giving the greater honor to the inferior part, that there may be no discord in the body, but that the members may have the same care for one another. The word of the Lord.
Lesung aus dem ersten Brief des Apostels Paulus an die Gemeinde in Korinth. Der Leib besteht nicht nur aus einem Glied, sondern aus vielen Gliedern. Das Auge kann nicht zur Hand sagen, ich brauche dich nicht. Der Kopf wiederum kann nicht zu den Füßen sagen, ich brauche euch nicht. Im Gegenteil, gerade die schwächer erscheinenden Glieder des Leibes sind unentbehrlich. Gott aber hat den Leib so zusammengefügt, dass er dem benachteiligten Glied umso mehr Ehre zukommen ließ, damit im Leib kein Zwiespalt entstehe, sondern alle Glieder einträchtig füreinander sorgen. Wort des lebendigen Gottes.
And we've just heard the same passage proclaimed in German, and we'll now hear it in Spanish.
Lectura de la primera carta del apóstol San Pablo a los Corintios. Hermanos, el cuerpo tiene muchos miembros, no uno solo. El ojo no puede decir a la mano, no te necesito. Y la cabeza no puede decir a los pies, no los necesito. Más aún, los miembros que parecen más débiles son más necesarios. Ahora bien, Dios organizó los miembros del cuerpo dando mayor honor a los que menos valían. Así, no hay divisiones en el cuerpo, porque todos los miembros por igual se preocupan unos de otros. Palabra de Dios.
Leitura da primeira carta de São Paulo aos Coríntios. O corpo não é composto de um só membro, mas de muitos. Não pode o olho dizer à mão, não tenho necessidade de ti. Nem tampouco a cabeça dizer aos pés, não tenho necessidade de vós. Pelo contrário, quanto mais fracos parecem ser os membros do corpo, tanto mais são necessários. Deus dispôs o corpo de modo a dar maior honra ao que dela carecia, para não haver divisão no corpo e os membros terem a mesma solicitude uns para com os outros. Palavra do Senhor.
We've now heard the reading in Portuguese. We now hear in Arabic, followed by Polish.
فليس الجسد عضوا واحدا بل أعضاء كثيرة فلا تستطيع العين أن تقول لليد لا حاجة بي إليك ولا الرأس للرجلين لا حاجة بي إليكما لا بل إن الأعضاء التي تحسب أضعف الأعضاء في الجسد هي ما كان أشدها ضرورة. الله نظم الجسد تنظيما فجعل مزيدا من الكرامة لذلك الذي نقصت فيه الكرامة لئلا يقع في الجسد شقاق بل لتهتم الأعضاء بعضها ببعض اهتماما واحدا. كلام الرب.
pierwszego listu świętego Pawła Apostoła do Koryntian. Ciało bowiem to nie jeden członek, lecz liczne członki. Nie może więc oko powiedzieć ręce, nie jesteś mi potrzebna, albo głowa nogą, nie potrzebuję was. Raczej nawet niezbędne są dla ciała te członki, które uchodzą za słabsze. Bóg tak ukształtował nasze ciało, że zyskały więcej szacunku członki z natury mało godne czci, by nie było rozdwojenia w ciele, lecz żeby poszczególne członki troszczyły się o siebie nawzajem. Oto Słowo Boże.
And now begins the formal catechesis portion in which our Holy Father will now address us. Again, we're taking part in a series of catecheses called Healing the World, and today's theme is subsidiarity and the virtue of hope.
Cari fratelli e sorelle, sembra che il tempo...
Dear brothers and sisters, it seems that the weather isn't very well, but I'm going to say good morning all the same. Everybody has, or many people have gotten their umbrellas out. It's drizzling.
Per uscire migliori da una crisi come quella attuale,
To emerge better from a crisis like the current one, which is a health crisis, and is at the same time a social, political, and economic one, every one of us is called to assume responsibility for our own part, that is, to share responsibility.
dobbiamo rispondere non solo come persone singole, ma anche a partire dal nostro gruppo di appartenenza.
We must respond not only as individual people, but also from the groups to which we belong, out of the roles we have in society, from our principles, and if we are believers, from our faith in God. Often, however, many people cannot participate in the reconstruction of the common good because they are marginalized, they are excluded, they are ignored.
Non riescono a contribuirvi perché soffocati economicamente
Certain social groups
o politicamente.
do not succeed in making a contribution because they are economically or socially suffocated. In some societies, many people are not free to express their own faith and their own values, their own ideas. If they express them freely, they go to jail. Elsewhere, especially in the Western world, many people repress their own ethical or religious convictions. But this is no way to emerge from the crisis, or at least to emerge from it better. We'll emerge from it worse.
Affinché tutti possiamo partecipare alla cura e alla rigenerazione dei nostri popoli.
So that we might be able to participate in the healing and regeneration of our peoples, it is only right that everyone should have the adequate resources to do so. After the Great Economic Depression of 1929, Pope Pius XI explained how important the principle of subsidiarity was.
Tale principio ha un doppio dinamismo.
This principle has a double movement, from top to bottom and from bottom to top.
Non capiamo cosa significa questo.
Perhaps we don't understand what this means,
Un principio sociale
but it's a social principle
ci fa più uniti.
that makes us more united.
Cercherò di spiegarlo.
I'll try to explain it.
Soprattutto in tempi di cambiamento, quando i singoli individui, le famiglie, le piccole associazioni o le comunità locali
On the one hand, and above all, in moments of change, when single individuals, families, small associations, and local communities are not capable of achieving primary objectives, it is then right that the highest levels of society, such as the state, should intervene to provide the necessary resources to progress. For example, because of the coronavirus lockdown, many people, families, and economic entities found themselves and still find themselves in serious trouble. Thus, public institutions are trying to help through appropriate interventions. Social, economic, and health, these are the areas they need to help in. On the other hand, however, society's leaders must respect and promote the intermediate or lower levels. In fact, the contribution of individuals, of families, of associations, of businesses, or every intermediary body, and even of the church, is decisive. All of these, with their own cultural, religious, economic resources, or civil participation, revitalize and reinforce society. That is, there's a collaboration from top to bottom, from the state to the people, and from the bottom to the top, from the people's institutions to the top. And this is how the principle of subsidiarity works. Everyone needs to have the possibility of assuming their own responsibility in the process of healing the society of which they are a part. When a project is launched that directly or indirectly touches certain social groups, these groups cannot be left out from participating. For example, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to work for the poor. Oh, that's beautiful. And what do you do? I teach the poor and I tell them what they need to do. No, that's not right. First, the first step is to allow the poor person to tell you how they live and what they need. Allow all of them to speak. And thus, the principle of subsidiarity works. We cannot leave these people out of the process of participating. Their wisdom, the wisdom of the most humble groups, cannot be set aside. Unfortunately, this injustice happens often in those places where huge economic and geopolitical interests are concentrated, such as, for example, certain extractive activities in some areas of the planet. The voices of the indigenous peoples, their culture, and world visions are not taken into consideration. Today, this lack of respect of the principle of subsidiarity has spread like a virus. Let's think of the grand financial assistance measures enacted by states. The largest financial companies are listened to rather than the people or the ones who really move the economy. Multinational companies are listened to more than social movements.
In dialetto quotidiano si ascoltano più i potenti.
In normal terms, we listen to the strong rather than the weak. And this is not the path to take. It's not the human path. It's not the human way. It's not the way Jesus showed us. And this certainly is not putting into practice the principle of subsidiarity. Thus, we do not permit people to be agents in their own redemption. There's a collective there's a certain consciousness of governments or social leaders moving toward the people, but not with the people. going from the top to the bottom, but without listening to the wisdom of the people, without allowing this wisdom to act in resolving problems. In this case, in resolving the problems related to the crisis. Or let's think about the cure for the virus. The large pharmaceutical companies are listened to more than the healthcare workers employed on the front lines in hospitals or in refuge camps. This is not a good path. Everybody needs to be listened to. Everybody. Those who are at the top and those who are at the bottom. Everyone. To emerge better from a crisis, the principle of subsidiarity must be enacted, respecting the autonomy and the capacity to take initiative that everybody has, especially the least. All the parts of the body are necessary, as St. Paul says. We've heard that those parts that seem the weakest and least important, in reality are the most necessary. In light of this image, we can say that the principle of subsidiarity allows everyone to assume his or her own role for the healing and destiny of society. Implementing the principle of subsidiarity gives hope to a healthier and more just future. Let's construct this future together, aspiring to greater things and broaden our horizons and ideals, either together or it won't work. Either we work together to emerge from the crisis at every level of society, or we will never emerge. It doesn't work. It won't work. Emerging from the crisis doesn't mean to varnish over the situation so that it might seem a little more just. No. Emerging from the crisis means changing. And true change, we need to do together. Everybody. Integrating the people who form the persons who form the people, all professions and everyone together, everybody in community. If everyone doesn't do it, the results will be negative. In a previous catechesis, we saw how solidarity this time, is the way out of the crisis. It unites us and allows us to find solid proposals. The path of solidarity needs subsidiarity. Well, someone can say, "Oh, Father, you're talking about difficult things." Well, I'm going to try to explain. We need to be in solidarity because we're going along the way of subsidiarity. In fact, there is no solidarity without social participation, without the contribution of intermediary bodies, without the contribution of families, without the contribution of associations, without the contribution of cooperatives, of small businesses, and other expressions of society. Everybody needs to contribute. Everybody. This type of participation helps to prevent and to correct certain negative aspects of globalization and the actions of states, just as it is happening regarding the healing of people affected by the pandemic. These contributions from the bottom should be encouraged. And how beautiful it is to see. This is just an example. To see the work of volunteers during the crisis, the volunteers who
delle parti sociali,
come from every parts of society, volunteers who come from
più benestanti,
more well-off families, some coming from the poorer families, but everybody together
per uscire.
in order to
Questo è
get out of the crisis. This is solidarity,
e questo è il
and
principio di
this is the
subsidiarietà.
principle of subsidiarity.
Durante il lockdown è nato spontaneo
During the
il gesto
lockdown,
dell'applauso.
the spontaneous gesture of applauding for doctors and nurses began.
Gli infermieri e
Applause
le
for
infermiere
doctors and nurses
come segno di incoraggiamento.
as a sign of encouragement and hope.
Tanti hanno rischiato la vita.
Many of them risked their lives, and many gave their lives.
Oggi questo
Let's extend this applause to every member
corpo sociale
of the social body,
a
to
tutti,
everybody,
per il suo prezioso contributo.
for their precious contribution, no matter how small.
Potrà fare quello di là, ascoltalo.
Well, what can you do? Well, listen and give space to work. Consult.
Applaudiamo
Let's applaud.
applaudiamo
Let's applaud
gli scartati.
those who are cast aside,
Qualifica di scartati. Questa cultura
those who society qualifies as needing to be thrown away. Let's applaud the elderly, children, persons with disability.
applaudiamo i lavoratori.
Let's applaud
Tutti
workers,
quelli che si
all
mettono al
those
servizio.
who dedicate themselves to
Tutti
service.
collaborano per uscire dalla crisi.
Everybody collaborating to emerge from the crisis. But let's not stop only on applauding. Hope is audacious, and so let's encourage ourselves to dream big. Oh, brothers and sisters, let's learn to dream big. Let's not be afraid of dreaming big.
Ideali
Seeking the ideals of justice and social love that are born of hope.
non proviamo a ricostruire
Let's
il
not
passato.
try to reconstruct the past. The past is past.
Ci aspettano cose nuove.
New things are waiting for us.
Signore, la promessa è io
The
farò
promise of
nuove
the Lord is that I will make all things new.
Incoraggiamoci a sognare
Let's
grande,
encourage each other to dream big,
ideali.
seeking these ideals.
Ricostruire il passato,
Let's
soprattutto
not
quello
try to reconstruct the past, above all, the past that was unjust and already ill,
nominato già come
which I've already named as injustices.
dove
Let's
la
construct a future where the local and
quella globale
global dimensions
mutuamente
mutually enrich each other, each one giving what it has. Everyone has to give
della sua
what he or she has of his culture, out of his philosophy, out of his or her way of thinking,
e la ricchezza
where the beauty and the wealth of smaller
dei
groups,
gruppi
even of groups
scartati,
that are cast aside, might flourish,
che bellezza di pure. E dove chi ha di più
and where
si impegni a
those
servire e a dare
who have more
a chi ha di meno.
dedicate themselves to service and give more to those who have less. Thank you. We will now begin to hear the summaries in each language group. We begin with French.
Et ceux qui sont reliés par les moyens de communication sociale sont heureux de vous exprimer leur sincère fidélité et leur filiale gratitude. Ils vous assurent de leur prière pour votre personne et pour votre ministère de successeur de Pierre. À la fin de cette audience, nous chanterons le Notre Père en latin, puis le Saint-Père donnera la bénédiction apostolique. Il l'accorde spécialement aux enfants, aux personnes âgées, aux malades et aux personnes qui sont dans l'épreuve. Il bénira également les chapelets et les autres objets de dévotion que vous avez apportés à cette intention. Voici le résumé en français de la catéchèse que vient de prononcer le Saint-Père. Frères et sœurs, pour sortir meilleurs de la crise que nous vivons, Chacun de nous est appelé à assumer sa part de responsabilité. Aujourd'hui, le manque de respect pour le principe de subsidiarité s'est diffusé comme un virus. Pensons par exemple aux grandes mesures d'aide financière mises en place par les États. On écoute davantage les grandes compagnies financières que les gens ou ceux qui animent l'économie réelle. On écoute plus les compagnies multinationales que les mouvements sociaux. Ainsi, on ne permet pas aux personnes d'être protagonistes de leur propre relèvement. Pour sortir meilleur d'une crise, le principe de subsidiarité doit être mis en œuvre en respectant l'autonomie et la capacité d'initiative de tous, spécialement des derniers. Le faire donne espérance dans un avenir plus sain et plus juste. Et cet avenir, nous le construisons ensemble. Le chemin de la solidarité a besoin de subsidiarité. Il n'y a pas de vraie solidarité sans participation sociale, sans participation des corps intermédiaires. Ces contributions sont stimulantes. L'espérance est audace. Encourageons-nous à rêver en grand, en recherchant les idéaux de justice et d'amour qui naissent de l'espérance. Construisons un avenir où les dimensions locales et globales s'enrichissent mutuellement, où la beauté et la richesse des petits groupes puissent fleurir, où celui qui a plus s'engage à servir et à donner plus à celui qui a moins. Et maintenant, le Saint-Père va saluer en italien les francophones.
Saluto cordialmente i pellegrini di lingua francese. Apparteniamo tutti ad un unico corpo e tutte le membra di un corpo sono necessarie, ci dice San Paolo. Per uscire meglio dalla crisi attuale, vi invito a assumervi la vostra parte di responsabilità, anche se piccola, per costruire un mondo più giusto e più fraterno. Dio vi benedica.
Our Holy Father said, I cordially greet the French-speaking pilgrims. We all belong to one body, and every member of a body is necessary. This is what St. Paul says. To emerge better from the current crisis, I invite you to assume your own part of responsibility, even if it's small, to build a world that's more just and fraternal. May God bless you.
Pour reconstruire un monde plus juste et plus fraternel. Que Dieu vous bénisse.
And we'll now hear the greeting and summary in English.
Most Holy Father, the English-speaking faithful here present and those joining us through the media wish to express to you their sentiments of respect and esteem and to assure you of their prayers for your ministry as the successor of Peter. At the end of the audience, we will sing together the Our Father in Latin. The Holy Father will then impart his apostolic blessing, which he willingly extends to all children and young people, the elderly and sick. His Holiness also intends to bless any religious articles you may have brought for this purpose. The following is a summary of the Holy Father's words this morning. Dear brothers and sisters, in our continuing catechesis on the effects of the current pandemic, in the light of the Church's social doctrine, we have reflected on the need for solidarity with all our brothers and sisters, especially the poor, the vulnerable, and the excluded. As individuals, as communities, and as men and women of faith, we are called to work together in bringing healing and hope to our world. Solidarity, for its part, implies respect for the principle of subsidiarity, whereby every level of society, from the state to every intermediate and lesser group, including families and the church, has a proper role to play in revitalizing the social fabric. As St. Paul teaches, all the members of the body, even those apparently most insignificant, are essential to the good functioning of the whole. The lockdown has made us appreciate the quiet efforts of so many individuals and groups to serve the larger community. As we look to the future, may the principles of solidarity and subsidiarity guide our efforts to emerge from the crisis by working for a social order ever more just and respectful of the dignity and gifts of each of its members. The Holy Father will now greet all the English-speaking faithful in Italian.
Saluto cordialmente i fedeli di lingua inglese. Mentre l'estate volge al termine, auguro che questi giorni di riposo portino a tutti pace e serenità. Su di voi e sulle vostre famiglie invoco la gioia del Signore Gesù Cristo. Dio vi benedica.
I cordially greet the English-speaking faithful. As summer draws to a close, I hope that these days of rest will bring peace and serenity to all. Upon you and your families, I invoke the joy of our Lord Jesus Christ. God bless you.
And now we'll hear the greetings and summary in German.
Heiliger Vater, die Gläubigen deutscher Sprache, die hier anwesend sind oder über Rundfunk und Internet teilnehmen, bekunden Ihnen aufrichtige Verbundenheit, Dankbarkeit und Verehrung. Sie versichern Sie zugleich Ihres besonderen Gebetsgedenkens für den apostolischen Dienst als Hirte der universalen Kirche. Zum Schluss dieser Audienz singen wir gemeinsam das Vaterunser in lateinischer Sprache. Danach wird der Heilige Vater allen den apostolischen Segen erteilen. Gern schließt er darin ihre Angehörigen ein, besonders die Kranken, die Kinder und die älteren Menschen. Zugleich segnet er auch die Rosenkränze und die übrigen Andachtsgegenstände, die sie dafür mitgebracht haben. Es folgt nun eine Zusammenfassung der Katechese des Heiligen Vaters. Liebe Brüder und Schwestern, um die gegenwärtige Krise gut zu überwinden, braucht es neben der Solidarität auch die Subsidiarität. Es gibt nämlich keine echte Solidarität ohne die Beteiligung aller. Jeder hat Verantwortung zu übernehmen, sowohl als Einzelner wie auch als Glied der Gesellschaft und gemäß der Rolle, die er in ihr hat, entsprechend seinen Grundsätzen und seinem Glauben. Jeder muss die Möglichkeit haben, seinen Beitrag zu leisten und sich zum Wohl der Gesellschaft einzubringen. Keine soziale Gruppe darf daran gehindert werden, was leider allzu oft wegen wirtschaftlicher oder geopolitischer Interessen geschieht. Um eine Krise besser zu bewältigen, muss also die Subsidiarität zur Anwendung kommen. Das heißt, die Autonomie und die Fähigkeit zur Eigeninitiative sind zu respektieren, besonders gegenüber den schwächeren Teilen der Gesellschaft. Gerade sie sind wichtig, wie uns das paulinische Bild vom Leib und den Gliedern sagt. Die Beteiligung der mittleren und niedrigeren Ebenen hilft, gewissen negativen Aspekten der Globalisierung und des Handelns der Staaten vorzubeugen. Wenn die Subsidiarität gelebt wird, schenkt sie Hoffnung auf eine heile und gerechte Zukunft. So wollen wir auf eine Zukunft hinarbeiten, wo lokale und globale Dimensionen sich gegenseitig bereichern.
Rivolgo un cordiale benvenuto ai fratelli e alle sorelle di lingua tedesca. Il Signore ci invita a contribuire con i doni che ci ha dato al bene della società. Confidando nel suo aiuto, vogliamo costruire insieme un futuro pieno di speranza, giustizia e pace. Lo Spirito Santo ci accompagni sempre con la sua forza.
Herzlich heiße ich
Our Holy Father said, I extend a cordial welcome to
Der Herr lädt uns ein,
the
in den Gaben, die er uns
German-speaking
geschenkt
brothers
hat,
and
zum
sisters.
Wohl der Gesellschaft
The Lord invites us to
beizutragen.
contribute with
Im Vertrauen
our
auf
gifts
seine Hilfe wollen wir gemeinsam
in order
eine
to give
Zukunft
for the good of
voller Hoffnung,
society,
Gerechtigkeit
confident
und Frieden
that
aufbauen.
His help,
Der Heilige Geist
that with His
begleitet
help
uns
we want
alle
to
mit seiner
construct
Kraft.
together a better future filled with hope, justice, and peace. May the Holy Spirit accompany us always with His strength. And now we'll hear the Spanish greeting and summary, and our Holy Father himself will provide the summary for us.
En esta audiencia y los que están conectados a través de los medios de comunicación desean manifestarle cordialmente sus sentimientos de filial afecto, que acompañan con fervientes oraciones por sus intenciones de pastor de toda la Iglesia. Al final de este encuentro se cantará el Padre Nuestro en latín. Después, el Santo Padre impartirá la bendición apostólica de modo particular a los niños y a los ancianos, a los enfermos y a cuantos sufren.
Queridos hermanos y hermanas, la crisis actual no es solo crisis sanitaria, sino también crisis social, política y económica. Para salir de ella, todos estamos llamados individual y colectivamente a asumir nuestra propia responsabilidad. Pero constatamos, sin embargo, que hay personas y grupos sociales que no pueden participar en esta reconstrucción del bien común, porque son marginados, excluidos, ignorados, y muchos de ellos sin libertad para expresar su fe y sus valores. La palabra de Dios que hemos escuchado nos recuerda cómo todas las partes del cuerpo, sin excepción, son necesarias. A la luz de esta imagen de San Pablo, vemos también cómo la subsidiariedad es indispensable porque promueve una participación social a todo nivel que ayuda a prevenir y corregir los aspectos negativos de la globalización y de la acción de los gobiernos. Por eso el camino para salir de esta crisis es la solidaridad, que necesita ir acompañada de la subsidiariedad, que es el principio que favorece que cada uno ejercite el papel que le corresponde en la tarea de cuidar y preparar el futuro de la sociedad en el proceso de regeneración de los pueblos a los que pertenece. Nadie puede quedarse fuera. La injusticia provocada por intereses económicos o geopolíticos tiene que terminar y dar paso a una participación equitativa y respetuosa. Saludo cordialmente a los fieles de lengua española. Eran tantos hoy.
I'd like to greet the Spanish-speaking faithful. There are many here.
En estos días
In these
se han
days,
cumplido 5 años.
it's been 5 years since my apostolic journey to
Saludo a mis
Cuba.
hermanos obispos,
I greet my brother
a todos los
bishops
hijos e hijas
and all
de
the
esa amada
sons
tierra.
and daughters of this beloved land.
Mi cercanía
I
y mi
assure you of my nearness and my prayer. I ask the Lord through the intercession of
de la
Our
caridad
Lady
del
of
pobre,
Charity de
que los
Cobre
libre y alivie en estos momentos de dificultad
that
que atraviesan
you
a
might,
causa
she might alleviate you in these, help you in these difficult moments of the
Dios nos conceda
pandemic.
construir juntos,
And
como
to
familia
everyone
humana, un futuro de esperanza en el que la dimensión local
that the Lord might allow us to construct together
se enriquezca
as a human family, the future filled with hope,
y se construya
in
un
which
presente de
the local
justicia,
dimension, local and global
se comprometa
dimensions might mutually enrich each other in order to allow beauty to flourish and to construct a present moment of justice where everyone might be able to share and serve together. May the Lord bless you all. And now we hear the greeting and summary in
através dos meios de comunicação social,
Portuguese.
testemunham a vossa santidade, sentimentos de gratidão e afeto filial que acompanham com as suas orações pelas vossas intenções de pastor universal da Igreja. No final da audiência, cantaremos o Pai Nosso em latim. Depois, o Santo Padre concederá a bênção apostólica a todos, com um pensamento especial às crianças, aos idosos, aos doentes e atribulados. Abençoará igualmente todas as lembranças e objetos religiosos que os peregrinos presentes tenham consigo. Leio agora um resumo da catequese que o Papa Francisco acaba de propor. Vimos numa catequese anterior que o caminho para sairmos da pandemia do Covid-19 é a solidariedade. Esta une-nos, permitindo assim encontrar propostas mais consistentes para um mundo sadio. Mas o caminho da solidariedade precisa da subsidiariedade. Com efeito, não há verdadeira solidariedade sem participação social, sem a contribuição dos entes intermédios, famílias, associações, cooperativas, pequenas empresas, as várias expressões da sociedade civil. Estas contribuições, a partir de baixo, ajudam a prevenir e corrigir certos aspectos negativos da globalização e da intervenção do Estado. Construamos um futuro onde as dimensões local e global se enriqueçam mutuamente, onde possa florescer a beleza e riqueza dos grupos menores. Aqui reside um dos motivos fortes da nossa esperança. Para sairmos melhores desta crise, é preciso implementar o princípio da subsidiariedade, respeitando a autonomia e a capacidade de iniciativa de todos, especialmente dos últimos. Pois todos os componentes do corpo são necessários. Mas, como ouvimos na leitura inicial de São Paulo, os membros que parecem mais fracos e menos importantes, na realidade, são os mais necessários. À luz desta imagem, podemos dizer que o princípio da subsidiariedade permite a cada um assumir a sua parte de responsabilidade na cura e regeneração da sociedade a que pertence. Apostemos nestes ideais de justiça e amor social que sustentam a esperança. Agora, o Santo Padre saúda em italiano os peregrinos e ouvintes da língua portuguesa.
Saluto cordialmente i pellegrini e ascoltatori di lingua portoghese e vi incoraggio a cercare sempre lo sguardo della Madonna che conforta quanti sono nella prova e tiene aperto l'orizzonte della speranza. Nell'affidare voi e le vostre famiglie alla sua protezione, invoco su tutti la benedizione di Dio.
And our Holy Father said, I cordially greet the Portuguese-speaking pilgrims and listeners, and I encourage you to always seek the gaze of the Madonna, who comforts those who are experiencing trial and it keeps them open to the horizon of hope. In entrusting you and your families to her protection, I invoke on all of you God's blessing. And now we'll hear the greeting and the summary in Arabic.
أيها الأب الأقدس، يسر المؤمنون الناطقون باللغة العربية تعبير لكم عن مشاعر الاحترام والتقدير مفعم بامتنانهم البنوي. إنهم يؤكدون صلاتهم لقداستكم ولشخصكم ولخدمتكم كخليفة القديس بطرس. في نهاية هذه المقابلة سنرتل معا صلاة الأبانة باللغة اللاتينية، ثم سيمنح قداسة البابا البركة الرسولية لكم ولجميع أحبائكم أيضا، وخاصة الأطفال والمتزوجين حديثا والمرضى والمتعلمين، وسيبارك كذلك المسابح والأشياء الخاصة بالطقويات التي جئتم بها لهذا الغرض. إليكم ملخص التعليم المسيحي لقداسة البابا فرانسيس. تأمل قداسة البابا اليوم في اللامركزية في اتخاذ القرار وفضيلة الرجاء، وذلك في إطار تعليمي في موضوع شفاء العالم. قال قداسته: للخروج من الجائحة فإن كل واحد منا مدعو إلى أن يشارك في المسؤولية، لكن في بعض الأحيان لا يستطيع الكثيرون من الناس المشاركة في إعادة بناء الخير العام، لأنهم مهمشون أو مستبعدون أو مجهولون، ولا تنجح بعض المجموعات الاجتماعية في المساهمة أيضاً، لأنها مختنقة اقتصادياً أو سياسياً. لذلك للخروج من الأزمة الحالية ونجد أنفسنا أفضل مما نحن عليه، يجب تطبيق مبدأ اللامركزية في اتخاذ القرار، لأنه يسمح لكل واحد أن يشارك في مسؤولية مصير المجتمع وضمان بناء جسم اجتماعي متين. إن تطبيق هذا المبدأ يعطي الرجاء في مستقبل أكثر سلامة وعدلا. وفي الختام قال قداسته: لنصفق لكل عضو في الجسم الاجتماعي على مساهمته الثمينة مهما كانت صغيرة، ولنشجع أنفسنا ولنحلم أحلاما كبيرة، ولنسعى وراء مثل العدالة والمحبة الاجتماعية التي تنبع من الرجاء، ولنبني مستقبلا يتم فيه إغناء متبادل للبعدين المحلي والعالمي، حيث يمكن أن يزدهر جمال وغنى المجموعات الصغيرة، وحيث يلتزم من لديه أكثر بأن يخدم ويعطي المزيد لمن لديه أقل. والآن تحية البابا باللغة الإيطالية لأبناء الشرق الناطقين اللغة العربية.
Saluto i fratelli di lingua araba. In mezzo alla difficoltà in cui vive il mondo di oggi, la parola di Dio rimane l'unico approdo sicuro, la guida e la fonte del vigore necessario per affrontare con autentica speranza le sfide della vita e per contribuire alla costruzione della casa comune. Il cristiano è pertanto chiamato alla vita, non alla disperazione, perché l'ultima parola è quella di Dio, non quella degli uomini. Il Signore vi benedica tutti e vi protegga sempre da ogni male.
I greet the faithful, the Arabic-speaking faithful. In midst of the difficulties in which the world is living today, the Word of God remains the only secure foundation, the guide and the source of all necessary strength in order to face with authentic hope the challenges of life and to contribute to the construction of the common home. The Christian is also called to life, not to desperation, because God has the ultimate word, has the last word, not men. May the Lord bless all of you and protect you always from every evil. And the last greeting, or the next to last greeting, is in Polish.
Ojcze Święty, pielgrzymi z Polski i z innych krajów obecni na tej audiencji oraz wierni, którzy łączą się za pośrednictwem środków masowego przekazu, pragną złożyć Waszej świątobliwości najserdeczniejsze wyrazy czci i oddania oraz zapewnić o swej gorącej modlitwie we wszystkich intencjach związanych z apostolską posługą następcy Piotra. Na zakończenie audiencji zaśpiewamy wspólnie modlitwę Ojcze Nasz po łacinie. Następnie Ojciec Święty udzieli wszystkim apostolskiego błogosławieństwa, obejmując nim również nasze rodziny, dzieci, młodzież, a szczególnie osoby dotknięte cierpieniem. Pobłogosławi także różańce i inne dewocjonalia, które pielgrzymi przynieśli ze sobą. Streszczenie katechezy Ojca Świętego. Drodzy bracia i siostry, aby wyjść lepszymi z obecnego kryzysu, będącego zarówno kryzysem społecznym, politycznym i gospodarczym, każdy z nas jest wezwany do podjęcia swojej cząstki odpowiedzialności. Musimy zareagować nie tylko jako poszczególne osoby, ale także jako społeczność. Aby uzdrowić i odnowić nasze narody, słuszne jest zastosowanie zasady pomocniczości, która posiada podwójną dynamikę, odgórną i oddolną. Z jednej strony, kiedy poszczególne jednostki nie są w stanie osiągnąć podstawowych celów, wówczas najwyższe szczeble organu społecznego, takie jak państwo, muszą zainterweniować w celu zapewnienia niezbędnych środków. Z drugiej jednak strony, przywódcy społeczeństwa muszą respektować poziomy niższe, które właściwymi im zasobami kulturowymi, religijnymi, ekonomicznymi ożywiają i umacniają tkankę społeczną. Dziś ten brak poszanowania dla zasady pomocniczości rozprzestrzenił się jak wirus. Bardziej słuchamy dużych koncernów finansowych niż ludzi. Albo pomyślmy też o sposobie leczenia wirusa. Bardziej słuchane są wielkie koncerny farmaceutyczne niż pracownicy służby zdrowia, zaangażowani na pierwszej linii frontu w szpitalach czy obozach dla uchodźców. To nie jest właściwa droga. W jednej z poprzednich katechez widzieliśmy, że solidarność jest drogą wyjścia z kryzysu, ale ona potrzebuje pomocniczości. Jesteśmy wezwani do budowania przyszłości, w której wymiar lokalny i globalny wzajemnie się ubogacają i gdzie ci, którzy mają więcej, angażują się, aby służyć tym, którzy mają mniej. Obecnie Ojciec Święty pozdrowi wszystkich Polaków w języku włoskim.
Saluto cordialmente tutti i polacchi. Sono tanti qui. Tra poco ve ne dirò una campana che si chiama La voce dei non nati, commissionata dalla Fondazione Sia la Vita. Essa accompagnerà gli eventi volti a ricordare il valore della vita umana dal concepimento alla morte naturale. La sua voce risvegli le coscienze dei legislatori e di tutti gli uomini di buona volontà in Polonia e nel mondo. Signore, unico e vero donatore della vita, benedica voi e le vostre famiglie.
Our Holy Father, greeting the Polish-speaking faithful, says, I greet the Polish speakers cordially. In a little bit, I will bless a campaign that's called The Voice of the Unborn, commissioned by the Yes to Life Foundation. It will accompany events which will remind people about the value of human life from conception to natural death. May its voice awaken the consciences of legislators and of all men and women of goodwill in Poland and in the world. The Lord, the only and true giver of life, may the Lord, the only true giver of life, bless you and your families.
Santo Padre, i fedeli di lingua italiana qui presenti e quelli collegati attraverso i mezzi di comunicazione desiderano esprimerle filiale affetto e sincera fedeltà.
And now the greeting in Italian.
Del suo universale ministero apostolico. A conclusione di questa
At the
udienza,
end of the audience, we will sing the Our Father together in Latin, and at the end of that, our Holy Father will impart his apostolic blessing, which is extended especially to children, to the elderly, and to those who suffer. He will also bless rosaries and objects of devotion that everyone has with them. I extend a cordial greeting to the Italian-speaking faithful.
Tutti incoraggio a
I
progettare
encourage
il proprio
everyone to
generoso servizio.
plan their own future
Mio
as
pensiero
generous
va
service to God and neighbor.
come di consueto agli anziani.
My thought in the end goes as is customary to the elderly, to the young, to the ill, and to newlyweds. The witness of faith and of charity that inspired Saint Padre Pio of Pietrelcina, whose liturgical memorial we remember today, may invite each one of us to trust always in God's goodness, to draw near the Father with trust in the sacrament of reconciliation, of which the saint was an intirable dispenser of divine mercy, an assiduous and faithful minister.
Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentatione, sed libera nos a malo.
Domino Hovisco. Sin nomen Domini benedictum. Aiutorium nostrum in nomine Domini. Benedicat vos omnipotens Deus, Pater, Filius et Spiritus Sanctus.
And now we leave you here with these last images from the general audience today. Our Holy Father meeting with the faithful from all over the world here in St. Damasus Courtyard. We invite you to join us again at 12 o'clock local Rome time on Sunday for the live broadcast of the Pope's weekly Angelus message and the recitation of that beautiful traditional Marian prayer. Please visit the Vatican News web portal, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube accounts where you'll find coverage of today's general audience, as well as other Vatican and world news. My name is Sister Bernadette. It's been a pleasure for me to provide the English language texts and translations for you today. And on behalf of Vatican Media, I'd like to extend a thank you to all of the technicians who've made this broadcast possible, and a warm thank you to all of you for joining us. Laudetur Jesus Christus. Praised be Jesus Christ.
Are you looking for life-changing entertainment? Does what you see on most channels leave you feeling unfulfilled? Well, look no further. Shalom World TV brings the peace and joy of Jesus Christ to you, whether at home or on the go. To start watching, you don't need antennas, cable connections, or a dish. You probably already have what you need if you have a smart TV, such as a Samsung, LG, or Panasonic, or if you have one with an Android, Opera, or Roku TV operating system. These can be found on the latest models of Sony, Toshiba, Vizio, Philips, RCA, Sharp Aquos, TCL, Insignia, Element, Hitachi, Vestal, Skyworth, Changhong, Konka, and Hisense. You can also watch Shalom TV on most IPTV streaming devices, starting with the 4th generation of Apple TV and Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Mi Box, Amino, Humax, or on TiVo Box through the Opera TV store. Are you a gamer or virtual reality enthusiast? We've got you covered. Shalom World is on Xbox One, Razer Forge, NVIDIA Shield, and HoloLens. To start watching, all you have to do is go to the App Store, download Shalom World, and start being fulfilled by content that brings you into a deeper relationship with Jesus Christ. For more information on how to watch Shalom World on your TVs and devices, visit us at shalomworld.org/connectedtv. Have a smartphone or tablet? Take Shalom with you wherever you go. Again, by downloading Shalom World from the App Store. If you prefer to watch from your Mac or PC, get the Shalom World desktop app. Or you can always watch from our website, shalomworld.org. And guess what? Shalom World is absolutely free on all of these